A stigma is something such as a characteristic or an experience that leaves a mark of disgrace on someone. There's a good example from the Bible about people who are known to have a stigma. And this comes from the book of Leviticus, chapter 13. It says, "The leprous person who has the disease shall wear torn clothes, and let the hair of his head hang loose. And he shall cover his upper lip and cry out, 'Unclean, unclean.' He shall remain unclean as long as he has the disease. He is unclean. He shall live alone. His dwelling place shall be outside the camp." People who had leprosy in the Bible had the stigma of being diseased, of needing to be quarantined, something we're familiar with nowadays, and who were isolated from the most important people in their life and from the community in general. And for them, most of all, most importantly, from the house of God. I spoke with a counselor here in Grand Island recently, and he said that people who have been deemed to have the coronavirus have carried a stigma with them. Several people who have had it are unwilling to share it because of the stigma they feel. That people are leery about being around them, that they look at them differently, even if it's long after they've had the disease and recovered from it. There's a stigma that's been associated with it. And it's made people retreat into the shadows and often deal with it in isolation, all alone. In the book of Matthew, chapter 8, Jesus comes across a man with leprosy. And I want you to hear how Jesus deals with this situation. It says, "A leper came to Jesus and knelt before him, saying, 'Lord, if you will, you can make me clean.' And Jesus stretched out his hand and touched him, saying, 'I will, be clean.' And immediately his leprosy was cleansed." Jesus was confronted by a man with a stigma, a man who was deemed to be unclean, who couldn't come near other people in his community. And Jesus doesn't allow the stigma to distance himself from this man. Instead, Jesus does the opposite. He comes near and he touches him. Jesus touches the man with leprosy and he heals him. I'm not sure what kind of stigmas that you have dealt with. Maybe it's having the coronavirus. But Jesus doesn't leave people with stigmas in isolation. He doesn't quarantine them. He comes near and he touches them. And he touches you. And whatever you feel that stigma is, he makes you clean.